All right, Google's Pixel devices signal the beginning of a new era of Android devices, and Google has made a lot of promises with the new lineup. Joining us to give us his take on the new phones is senior correspondent with Business Insider, Steve Kovach. How's it going, Steve?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. It's great to get you on again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
Yes, we agree. So thank you for joining us tonight. So tell us a little bit about these phones. Do they live up to Google's hype? Is this Google's iPhone, as some people are saying?
Oh, definitely. So I've been using it for the past week or so, and after all these years, this is the first Android phone I've used that made me consider, maybe I should buy this thing. It's exactly what they pitched at that event on October 4th. Streamlined, designed by Google, hardware and software, and Google Assistant just blows Siri out of the water. It is amazing, and it's not perfect, of course, but it's only going to get better as you use it more, as more people use it, as it learns. It's just a fantastic phone. My only real qualms with it are the design and the fact that it's missing certain things like water resistance, which Samsung phones and Apple phones have. But other than that, I mean, it's just a great device.
Is there anything built into kind of the hardware design itself that doesn't appeal to you? Like, I know a large complaint is the lack of water resistance. I know in seeing it online, seeing that kind of glass plate, the half glass back, kind of looks strange the first couple of times. Now I guess my eyes are a little bit more adjusted to it. But does it feel like a nice, tight, solid, pixely device, I suppose?
Oh yeah, it feels great. That glass on the back, I don't like how it looks on the black version, but on the white version, which I haven't actually gotten my hands on, I've only been testing the black version, but it seems to look better on that white and silver version. Yeah, the photo you guys are showing now from our review, it looks kind of weird, right? But it does look like very similar to the iPhone 7, which is already feeling like a dated design itself. Mm-hmm. So it would have been nice to see with such it's fast. All the internal components are great. The camera is excellent. Everything is great about this phone. It would have been nice to see them push design forward a little bit, like we've been seeing Samsung do recently.
Sure.
So what you said, you really like the Google Assistant. What about it? Is there anything new about it, or is it the same? Like, is it just Google Now rebranded as Google Assistant?
No. Google Now actually is still part of the Pixel. So if you swipe over on the Pixel, Google Now is there. It's the same Google Now you're used to using on iOS and Android. So that's always there for the proactive stuff. As you know, Google Now is there saying, your Amazon package is coming or whatever. But Assistant is there for the reactive stuff. I need this to happen. Where's the nearest restaurant? Can I get a reservation? Play this song for me from Google Music. Send a text message to Jason, all that kind of stuff that you've known from Siri. But it takes it a step further, and it really taps into that Google Knowledge Graph. So you can just ask it so many questions and it'll deliver you the right answer, which is Google is just so much better equipped to do that than Amazon with Alexa and Apple with Siri.
It does seem to be way ahead. I mean, Apple, in iOS 10 just started telling me, in Maps, now it knows like, oh, you're 10 minutes from work, or and gives me directions. It's like Google has been doing that for like 5 years already, and Apple's just there. It's like, okay, great. Thank you for telling me how to get to work. I could have used that 5 years ago. So you like it.
Yeah, and I think that's the real key thing that sets this phone apart. It's relatively easy to make nice hardware. There are plenty of great phones out there we're seeing from Huawei, and they're cheap too, $400 or $500. So how do you take it to the next level? Well, you put in these great services like AI assistants, like Google Now, and Google is just positioned to do that so much better than Apple is, so much better than Samsung is, and so it. From a hardware perspective, sure, it's boring. We're used to a lot of this stuff now. So what makes this phone exciting and sets it apart is the Assistant, is all this intelligence. Even in things like the camera, the burst mode, you take a bunch of photos, it'll pick out the best photo for you. Unlimited storage for high-res photos and videos in Google Photos, that's huge. There are just so many great advantages to it on a software and services level you can't get in any other phone. That's what really excites me about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great hardware out there, and then there's, I guess, bad hardware. But there's also a lot of companies who have tried to innovate with software and have failed miserably at it, or the software ends up getting in the way instead of actually being super useful. This obviously isn't plain Android. Here you've got, this is like Google's TouchWiz. Samsung has TouchWiz. This is kind of Google's take on what it would do to Android to make it better. Do you think these software enhancements boost it beyond kind of the vanilla Android, as it were, in previous like Nexus devices, or do they get in the way? Are they super useful?
No, I think it's super useful, especially that dock, that little tray that you swipe up from the bottom and to view all of your apps. It's just like, how has no one thought of that before? It's just a very natural motion to swipe up and get all your apps right there in alphabetical order. Launching Assistant from the soft home button, same thing. And then that little Google on the home screen, you probably noticed that little Google icon. You tap that and that brings you right back to the regular search bar, so you can search for anything in Google. Just very thoughtful UI elements, whereas you look at Samsung phones, you look at LG phones, and they're just still bogged down. You buy most Android phones you buy, you have 2 or 3 email apps that come preloaded. You have a bunch of carrier apps. You have all these modifications that either bog down the phone or you don't need. And this has none of that. And again, my one thing I forgot to say is my favorite thing is you get updates. So I think most people, Nougat came out a couple months ago or whatever. You'll be lucky to be, most people using Android phones now will be lucky to be on Nougat a year from now. This is the only way to guarantee you're going to get the software updates right from Google, right as they come out. Even the Nexus phones can't guarantee that anymore.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder what the long-term ramification is going to be about that in the eyes of the general consumer. Like, I think, long-term, Google wants this to be Android's iPhone. And what does that mean? That means that essentially it's the device that comes from Google that everybody, when they think of Android, let's say, they think of that device as being the cream of the crop. And if it actually does this up-to-date updates the way that they are promising, and I have no reason to doubt that Google will stick to that. It's coming direct from Google, so why wouldn't it? I do wonder if that's going to apply some much needed pressure to competitors in the space to step up their game, because now suddenly you've got the iPhone of Android doing this. Should we expect everyone else to follow suit? What do you think?
You hope so. I'm not optimistic that can happen just by the nature of the ecosystem. There are so many players involved, and ego is involved too. So, let's just take Samsung, for example. They like to set their devices apart too. So they put that TouchWiz skin on it. They try to add their own like cool, unique features, the stuff that you have on the curved screens, all those software elements. And so when a new version of Android comes out, they have to, start over and figure out how to noodle with it. And then once they do that, they have to submit it here in the US, they have to submit it to the carriers, and the carriers have to go through this massive approval process. And that, by the time all that's done, it's months and months or a year later. And so I'm just not optimistic that this can really fix that fragmentation problem and that slow update problem. The best way to get the best of Android is to buy one of these Pixels.